welcome to Book Chat. My name is Leslie and I'm the Reading Machine Coordinator for Monterey County Free Libraries. Today I have a book called The Ministry for the Future by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is a science fiction novel. I had never heard of Kim Stanley Robinson before I heard of him last year. And then it seemed like within a matter of like days or weeks, I had heard several people mention him. And so then I picked up this book, which got rave reviews, including one from former President Barack Obama, who said it was one of his favorite books of the year. So this book was published in 2020. It is a huge book. Look at how thick this is. It's got 563 pages. And also, I did not finish this book, and I want to be upfront about that. I don't think it's because the book is bad. I think it's because I get distracted easily, especially when I'm reading books like this. This book definitely did lull in some areas, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I did make it over halfway through. My last tab was here, and I can't remember where it was, where I got to after that last tab, but it's a good book. I just didn't finish it because I am me. So don't take the fact that I didn't finish it as some sort of judgment on the quality of the book. Plenty of people have loved this book. So anyways, as I mentioned, this is a big tome of a book. It is just full of stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening. It is about climate change, which is something that we're living through now. And so in a lot of ways, this book does not feel like a work of fiction. It feels like, I don't know, like a documentary of some kind, like some kind of journalistic approach, but it is a novel. So anyways, the story begins with a recounting of a very deadly heat wave in India. And it tells the story of Frank, who is a disaster. He's a disaster worker or an aid worker in India at the time, and he's living through this horrific heat wave, and he does his absolute best to save all of these people who are around him. I mean, he just does all of this stuff, but he can't save them. Everyone ends up dying. Everyone around him, except for him. And he is left with all of this trauma as a result. And he keeps kind of coming back throughout the book. But that's how the book opens. And then immediately there's a point of view shift. And that is something that I really loved about this book, is there are multiple points of view shifts. I don't think I've ever read a book that had as many point of view shifts as this one. I mean, it tells the story from the point of view of the sun, and from like the point of view of something like blockchain and code and the earth and things like that, as well as like other people. So I really love that. As a writer myself, I'm always looking for cool ways to tell a story, and this is like a really cool way to tell this story. So anyways, the novel takes its name, The Ministry for the Future, from an international organization that has been formed that's basically, its entire existence is to advocate for the generations to come. So to advocate for the future people who are not alive at the moment. And I love that concept, because I think that we as a society, and perhaps all around the world, are very short-sighted. We are unable to conceive of people beyond us if we aren't looking at them right now, or if they don't already exist. We have seen that I mean, it's pretty obvious that we're unable to conceive of that, because we have failed in so many ways to think about what our future generations will have to live through when it comes to climate change and other things, of course. So I really, really, I love that aspect of the book. But it's like the organization, the Ministry for the Future, it has all these great intentions, but there's just so much bureaucracy, so much discussion of things that need to be done, and then nothing getting done. And it's just it was so painful to read through. And I think ultimately that might have been part of why I ended up putting the book down and not getting through the rest of it, was because I wanted a lot more of Frank's story. Frank is the guy who, we started off the book with. I wanted a lot more of his story and less of the bureaucracy. And I think part of the point is that we're going to have to suffer through a lot of bureaucracy in order to make big changes. And that's also a point that he's making in the book too. There is a terrorist organization called the Children of Kali, and they are basically committing these acts to stop the people, the powers that be, who are causing harm and who aren't taking action for a better planet. So they are doing these very quick actions, these quick and big terrorist acts in order to stop these really bad effects that these, say, billionaires and other people are having, instead of waiting for the bureaucracy to kind of work itself out. And so that's kind of an interesting point too. Anyways, so what I wanted to do, so like I said, I was, I lost interest. Again, I don't think it's the book's fault. I think it's more me than the book. But while I was flipping through it again and prepping for this video, I was like, I really want to try to give this another shot. So I think it's possible I'll end up doing that. Anyways, to close out this video, I just wanted to read a short chapter. And this is one of the interesting points of view in this chapter. It's not even a page long, so it's not going to take that long. Okay. This is chapter 46. I was born small, as so many things are. A marsupial, perhaps. People came to me and reached inside me to pass things to each other. I helped them do that. When I was young, I had no blood, and people moving things around inside me had to do it by feel. They had to decide by feel alone which things were equally useful to them. And so few things are equally useful. Indeed, only 2 identical things are equally useful: 2 hearts, 2 livers, 2 drops of blood. So in people's attempts to pass things around, there was friction. It was time-consuming and unsatisfactory. People would sometimes say, all things being equal, but this was never the case, so I was judged to have a difficult and unsatisfactory body until my blood finally came into me and stomach acids, all the fluids of metamorphosis, of life. Then things dropped into me, could be digested, and moved elsewhere in my body to do something else. My stomach made disparate things the same by way of digestion into blood. This made food of all the things brought into me, and I quickly grew. I am an omnivore, and as I grew, I ate more and more. Everything fed to me made other things. I digested things and turned them to blood, which moved around in me and helped to reconstitute some other thing of use. Bone or muscle or some vital organ. Helping in this process were my mouth, esophagus, intestine, arteries, and veins, all of which grew with me, making a whole body out of which new things, also useful, could grow. Things people wanted. I grew and grew and grew. In this process, as in any body, there were useless residues not taken up in the new process, which left me in the usual ways, thus sweat, urine, poop, tears. My body worked so well that eventually all things everywhere were swallowed and digested by me. I grew so large that I ate the world, and all the blood in the world is mine. What am I? You know, even though you are like everything else and see me from the inside. I am the market. All right, so that was from the point of view of the market or capitalism. Anyways, thank you so much for coming to this book chat. I hope you enjoyed. We do have this book in our collection. It's really interesting. I think it's going to end up being worth another read for me, another try. And so many people have loved it, so I urge you to pick it up and give it a shot yourself. Thank you again, everybody, and happy reading. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.